Hey guys, AlphaXO here, and welcome to What If Total Drama Island had a random cast. This was the cast that I randomly generated, and wow do we have some interesting ones in here. First of all, we somehow got both Katie and Sadie, and we also got both Pete and Jerry. Wow. Alright, but yeah, this is the Screaming Gophers and this is the Killer Bass based on how I randomized it. But before the first of all, Chris would, show everyone around. Everyone would meet each other. Nothing too interesting would happen in the character introductions. Everyone would think Justin's hot. Lightning would be like, oh man, I can't wait to win this one, shabam, and stuff like that. Big thing, Sierra's in this cast. Now, Sierra's big things are obsessing with Cody and there's no Cody. And two, knowing everything about the show. This is season 1. So there is no show. So what does Sierra know? Well, she knows everything about Chris. And that's kind of it. Like, other than that, she's a semi-normal person. But yeah, the first challenge is the cliff dive. Now, on the Gophers, Justin jumps, Sierra jumps, Zoe jumps, Sean jumps, Emma jumps, Stacy jumps, but before the Harold jumps. That leaves these 4. Well, first of all, Katie would be saying how she needs to be on a team with Sadie. She won't jump if she's not on a team with Sadie. And Chris says, no way. Emma would then promptly complain that their team has 2 old men on it and the other team has Caleb and Ryan. That's when I think Ryan would volunteer to switch teams with Katie and Chris would say, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then Caleb jumps. That leaves these 3. Now, Pete and Jerry, they are fitness people, but they're also old. I don't think their old bones are handling jumping off the cliff. While Jen, she's never getting her hair wet. She's not doing it. And on the Killer Bass, Katie and Sadie jump, Dawn jumps, Elodie jumps, Ryan jumps, Sky jumps. Yeah, I think Kelly jumps. Lightning obviously jumps, Jose jumps, and Rodney jumps. The only person not jumping is Topher for basically the same reason as Jen of not wanting to get hair wet. Then when it comes to building the hot tub, I think the Killer Bass because they hadn't had to carry the crates. Even though, honestly, Caleb could probably carry every single crate himself. I do think just because of the time advantage, Killer Bass do end up winning this challenge. Meaning Screaming Gophers have to vote for someone. And I think there's 4 main candidates. Jen, Pete, Jerry, and Stacy. I think the person eliminated first in Total Drama Island with a random cast is Jen. Now, the reason I say this is because Pete and Jerry, they're old. They might be seen as useless, but people like them. So far, Jen is just... I can imagine her being very standoffish, essentially. She's been rude to the cast and also refused to do the challenge because of her hair. Like Pete and Jerry, it's more understandable that they wouldn't do it. Jen, not so much. The big sleep, there is no way in hell you are telling me that anyone but Sean is winning this challenge. Yeah, that's who wins it, but who bites it the biggest? Well, first of all, Katie and Sadie are Kate and Sadie. So, they just have a rough time in general. I don't think, honestly, the first people to sleep are Pete and Jerry, I feel. And on this team, I think the first person to sleep is probably Topher because he needs his beauty rest. Now you're thinking, oh, so that means Topher's totally out, right? Well, I think Elodie can use this. I think Elodie gets Topher as like, hey, the people there are really thinking of voting you out. And, if you really want more screen time, you're gonna need to stay in for a bit longer. So, Elodie is able to get Jose to convince enough people to vote for Katie. You might be thinking, why Katie, though? Katie didn't do anything wrong. Well, Katie and Sadie are a duo. I can see Elodie and Jose convincing enough people that having a duo on the team is going to be dangerous, because they're always going to vote together and they'll never vote for each other. And also with the people they convince is, Topher, Lightning, Rodney, and probably Brian and Kelly, and that's enough. Dodgebrawl. Who is winning Dodgebrawl? Well, it's tough, but I think in the end it's the Killer Bass. Meaning the Screaming Gophers go to elimination, in which I can't really do anything for them here. TP and Jerry, it's one of them going home. But which one? Well, in my opinion, I think it's Jerry. He looks to be older than Pete, and also I think people would like Pete more, especially someone like Sean. At this point, Pete and Sean have been talking, and they have a friendship. And not quite famous, 4 people from each team has to compete. Lightning, 3 people from each team has to compete. Lightning volunteers because Lightning will get first place like he does in every contest. Then I think Topher would, because he figures it'll give him more screen time. Then finally is Jose, because Jose is number 1. Then Screaming Gophers, it's Justin, because it's Justin. Then 2 more people have to compete. I feel like Stacy would say that her great uncle actually invented talent competition, so she has to compete. The rest of the team would just kind of groan and say, fine, whatever. And then finally, I think Caleb would volunteer. I know Harold did the best originally, but this isn't about who would do the best, it's about who they'd pick. And I feel like they'd pick Justin and Caleb because of their looks, and Stacy because she's annoying. And in the end, in the contest, Lightning does some 3 throws. It's pretty good. He doesn't miss a single shot. Jose does some ice dancing on, the stage, so basically ballet. And Topher gets the lowest score on his team with only like a 2, because he decides to use it as an opportunity to show off his hosting skills. They don't like that. While on Screaming Gophers, Justin saw, Caleb saw, Stacy doesn't really do anything, but I think overall the team that wins is the Killer Bass. And I think obviously they eliminate Stacy on the Screaming Gophers. The Sucky Outdoors. Okay. So, this challenge is interesting because I don't think anyone's getting lost, because Sadie is all alone. I do think Elodie and Jose, who are basically teaming up at this point, is going to use this as a chance to stay Sadie. Because Elodie and Jose basically already have Topher and Lightning in their pocket, because both of them are very susceptible to manipulation. Rodney kind of, but Rodney tends to not respond when talking to women. But they think the best person to get is Sadie, because Sadie would be feeling so lonely from Katie being eliminated. And because of that, Jose and Elodie were able to talk her into being friends. On the Screaming Gophers, Justin would talk to Caleb about thinking about maybe forming an alliance between the 2 of them. Caleb would say that's a great idea, but if they want to make an alliance, they will need more people. Justin says that he can take care of that. But with this challenge, I think, purely because it's basically survival skills, I think the Screaming Gophers win due to Sean, meaning the Killer Bass lose and have to vote someone out. I think that person is Kelly. She hasn't done much for her team so far, and with her age, she's just kind of seen as the weakest link. Phobia factor. I think Sean succeeds his fear of zombies. We already know Harold fails, and we don't know the rest of the team. On this team, we know Sadie will succeed. Don't know the rest of the team. So, I have to make educated guesses. Caleb is snake clowns. in which I think he succeeds. Justin is probably having to go through the whole day with a messed up hair, and I think he fails. Pete is tough, because he's an old man. So I don't know. Zoe's is most likely loneliness. So she has basically the same thing that Bridget has to do, where she has to be in solitude for a certain amount of time, and I do think she would be able to succeed in this, even if she doesn't like it. Emma, Sierra, and Pete, we have no indication of what their fears could be, so I'm just going based on who I think could pass it. And I do think Emma and Sierra and Pete could possibly all pass, giving that team 6 points. Killer Bass, we already know about Sadie. Jose is too obsessed with victory, same with Lightning, to where they can't lose. I feel like even if it was a thing of their fears are getting second place, Elodie would convince them that technically getting second here would mean they get first place, because it would get them a point, rather than completely losing by getting first. It's complicated, but I think they do it. I think Elodie is able to snag a point, because honestly, her fear she could easily just rationalize herself out of. Rodney's fear is talking to a woman, and the woman he has a crush on, and at this point I think it would be Elodie, and I think he fails. Topher's has a similar one to Justin, he fails. Ryan, I'm not sure. I don't know why, but I feel like Ryan would fail his fear. Along with Sky, I think Dawn can handle her own fear. Meaning, the Screaming Gophers win, the Killer Bass lose. And despite the massive failure of Topher and Rodney, Elodie would be able to convince the team to vote out Ryan. Ryan is a huge physical threat come merge, and it's just, the sooner they can get Ryan out, the better it is for them. Up the creek, sail Boney Island, come back. So, first of all, they have to go to Boney Island. They have to go in pairs on their boats. So I think Justin would push for Caleb to go with Zoe, while Justin himself would go with Emma. I think Sierra probably would end up going with Harold, while Sean goes with Pete. And on the Killer Bass, Elodie goes with Stacy, Rodney goes with Topher, Jose goes with Lightning, Dawn goes with Sky. And some interesting things happen here. For example, Dawn would tell Sky of the evil presence on this team. Sky wouldn't really know what she means, and honestly would first assume that probably means Topher because of how vain he is, but Dawn would say that's not it. The team seems to be controlled by two large figures, and there's nothing they can do. Sky would then, in confessional, say that due to her wording of large figures, that she means literally, and think that Rodney is one of them. So she needs to figure out a way to get rid of Rodney. On the Screaming Gophers, in the boat of Zoe and Caleb would be talking about how nice the water is. Zoe would say that she really likes it too. And honestly, they would talk about their family lives. Caleb being basically super overprotective parents and all that, while Zoe just grew up very lonely. And I can see Zoe developing a crush on Caleb here, or at least starting to, while Caleb thinks about the alliance. Yep, it's the Priya Caleb thing. And in the Justin Emma boat, it has Justin suggest the idea of an alliance. Emma says no way, she doesn't do alliances. Justin asks if she's sure about that. I mean, she'd be missing out on an alliance, not any alliance, but an alliance with him. And then, you know, he would take his shirt off, and Emma would basically put her arm in front of her face, try and resist the temptation of Justin, and just say, yes, I don't do alliances. Justin would then have an alliance saying that Emma's tricky, but he can crack her. It'd be very, very interesting. They get to Boney Island and have to create a fire. Now Elodie is able to reflect the sun off of her glasses to create a fire pretty quickly. The other team seeing this try to do it with Harold, but they don't really know what they're doing, but they do eventually start a small flame. By the time they've started their small fire, the killer bass have a big enough fire to start on their way to the original island. Harold, panicking because they have to speed up, throws their team's oars into the fire. They don't know what they're going to do until Caleb offers to push all their boats. And I think, somehow, the Screaming Gophers win. Me and the Killer Bass go to elimination, where I think Sky is able to get Lightning, Sadie, and honestly, Elodie to vote for Rodney. Now we're thinking, why would Elodie betray Rodney? Well, that's because Elodie realizes that her alliance is too big for it to stick. It'll eventually shatter and she needs to make sure she's on top of that. So, eliminating an alliance member while this early is smart because they still have majority. Jose, on the other hand, is furious. She is fuming. She is destroying the camp, trying to figure out who betrayed. Elodie would tell her that she doesn't know who betrayed, and that her money is on Topher. Jose would be so mad that she would do something unthinkable. She would destroy all of Topher's hair gel. Paintball Deer Hunter. For this challenge, I think the hunters on the Gophers are Harold, Pete, Sean, and Sierra. On the Killer Bass, the hunters are Sadie, Lightning, Topher, with everyone else being a deer. In this challenge, Zoe and Caleb decide to travel together, looking at flowers and honestly just having a really great time and enjoying being with each other. On the other hand, Justin keeps following Emma. Emma tells him to stop, but Justin says that he just wants to figure her out. Not many ladies can resist his charm. What makes her different? Emma says that maybe it's because she has a brain, and Justin says that's not it. On the Killer Bass, while hunting, Lightning is running by and sees that Topher isn't running or really trying hard at all. Lightning asks what's his deal, and Topher says that he can't perform at 100% without his hair gel. If this gets in the edit, what are they going to think of him? Lightning says he's being just pathetic, and that if he really wants to look good, he's going to want to fight to stay in, because if they lose because he's not trying, then Lightning will be the one to personally send him home. Topher thinks about it, and then it's like, fine, if I have to. They then go hunting. While Zoe and Caleb are flirting, Sadie is able to come up behind them. Zoe quickly leaps out of the way, but because of Caleb's large figure, he gets shot. Zoe goes back to help, but Caleb tells her to just run. So Zoe gets away. Pete travels with Sean, and Sean tells Pete that he has experience with weaponry. You're gonna be able to know how to use everything you can in case of a zombie apocalypse. Pete laughs, saying that, wow, zombie apocalypses, huh? So that's what kids these days are into. Trust me, kid, if there's a zombie apocalypse, I'll be the first one to get bit. Sean asks what he means. He says, with these old bones, I can barely run away from the fans, let alone a zombie. Sean is confused by what he means by the fans. He's like, oh yeah, me and my buddy Jerry, we used to be super popular golfers back in the day. But, time happened. It sucks. Pete tells him that if a zombie apocalypse happens, then everything gets destroyed. But if it doesn't, your body gets destroyed with age. May as well just, instead of focusing on what might happen, just have fun with it. Till either a zombie apocalypse or you get older. Sean thinks about this, but then has a confessional saying that Pete's crazy. A zombie apocalypse is far more likely to happen before he gets old. It's way smarter for him to prepare for that than just enjoy himself. Sierra travels with Harold, where Harold asks if he thinks Sierra might think he's in danger after what happened last episode. Sierra says, maybe, but in not as much in danger as someone like Pete. I mean, with his age, and also Jerry leaving, it's basically guaranteed that he's probably the next to go. Just then, Topher comes out and starts shooting with his eyes closed for some reason. They're both able to dodge, and Topher then realizes that he's out of ammo. In which he just kind of throws his gun and gets fed up and walks away. Dawn and Sky are walking as Sky asks if the big evil is gone, and Dawn says no. And if anything, it looms even larger now. Just then, Jose comes up behind them and tells them and says, what are you doing? Focus on the challenge. I am not getting second place because you guys are too busy gossiping. Sky then scoffs, walks off before Sean jumps out and is able to shoot Dawn and Jose. Justin's still trying to talk to Emma, and Emma's still just kind of pushing him away. For Justin goes, this is about a boy, isn't it? Emma then freezes. Justin says, ah, there it is. I thought so. Emma then storms up to him and says, how dare you? You don't know anything about her. But just then, lightning comes in and is able to shoot them both, with Justin yelling about how he can't have paint on his skin. How's it gonna get out? Eventually, the challenge ends, and Screaming Gophers have more people shot than the Killer Bass. The Killer Bass win that challenge. The Screaming Gophers have to go to elimination, where it is close, seems between Justin or Pete, but in the end, I do think Pete is eliminated, just due to being more of a risk to the team. If they kept him around, they'd probably end up losing more challenges. Alright, if you can't take the heat, each team has to select a head chef, and Lightning says that he's head of every team. Elodie asks if he actually knows anything about cooking, and Lightning says, that don't matter, cooking's easy, just shove stuff in the oven until it's good. Elodie would roll her eye and say, whatever. Sure. On the Screaming Gophers, Harold would say that he has some mad cooking skills. Sierra would say, hey, maybe it's not the best if you put yourself out there like that. Harold asks why, and Sierra whispers to him saying, if they end up losing, then it's probably him being voted out. Harold says, actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know that much about cooking. I definitely didn't go to Mr. Harry's baking emporium. Zoe says that was weird, but if needed, she can help. And Caleb said that's a great idea, that he bets she'd make a great head chef. Each team is then tasked with cooking and split into threes, or split into a group of 3 each team. Where Lightning works with Elodie on making a steak. Jose, Sky, and Dawn are also making a steak. Sadie and Topher are also making a steak, because in the words of Lightning, steak is what winners have. If we want to impress Chris, then you gotta have steak for every meal. On the Screaming Gophers, Emma and Caleb work together on a nice cake. Emma, Sierra, and Harold work on some ribs while Justin, Harold, and Sierra work on some ribs while Emma and Sean makes just some beans, something simple. While in the challenge, Justin walks away from his group. Harold is curious where he's going, but Sierra says it doesn't really matter. All that really matters is if they win the challenge, as Justin approaches Sean and Emma, and asks Sean to give them some space. Sean says that they're actually working on the challenge right now, but Justin says, that doesn't really matter. And Sean's like, whatever, beans are simple anyway. I guess you can handle them and I'll just switch with you. Emma's against this, but Justin basically just shoos Sean off. Emma would groan as Justin would be like, so, what did the boy do to you? And Emma says that she's not talking to him about this. She needs to focus on the challenge. Justin says, come on. Did he lie to you, cheat on you, mess with your head? And Emma says, no, none of that. Obviously. Ugh. Just says, oh, come on then. It's not that bad, then you can talk about it. Emma says, fine. She recently had to break up. Recently, her boyfriend broke up with her, okay? Are you happy? Justin says that he's always happy. It's good for the complexion. But he then says that that's nothing. He's had way worse happen between him and some girls. Emma asks about it, and he says, I don't really feel like telling you. Emma says that he has to tell her. I mean, she told you her secret. And Justin says, fine, I'll tell you about some of the girls, but you have to agree with an alliance with me. Emma thinks about it, and eventually, she agrees. On the Killer Bass, Lightning is turning the steak to full heat, as Elodie says that you can't just put things at full blast, and Lightning says, why not? If the steak's gonna be number 1, it's gotta have the highest number possible. Elodie says that's not how that works. While Sadie and Topher are working on their steak, Sadie's trying to make conversation with Topher, but Topher's basically just ignoring her. Instead, deciding to go over to see Jose. Jose would ask what he wants, and Topher would ask, "Were you the one that got rid of my hair gel?" And Jose would say, "What if it was? What are you gonna do about it?" Topher would say, "What am I gonna do about it?" He would then grab some hot sauce and pour the entire ball all over her steak. Jose would be appalled. She would then go over and basically just throw Topher and Sadie's steak on the ground, with Sadie being distraught. This then turns into a whole food fight in their kitchen. While on the Screaming Gophers it's going much simpler, with Sean, Sierra and Harold making their food pretty well, and Caleb and Zoe having a great time, and as they're putting on the icing for their cake, their hands accidentally touch. They then both pull back and blush. Whilst doing the scoring, Chris obviously gives the Screaming Gophers the win, as they did not bring out a burned steak, a steak drenched in hot sauce, and a steak that's clearly been on the ground. And they also brought 3 different foods. So it goes to elimination. Sky and Dawn talk to each other about what they're gonna do tonight, because it's a team of 7, so they need 4 to get majority. In the end, person eliminated is Jose. Beginning of the next episode, Sadie is asking Elodie why they voted out Jose. I mean, aren't they working together? Elodie says, "Yeah, but I think it was just for the betterment of the team." Elodie in confessional would then say, "It was absolutely not for the betterment of the team. If they got rid of Jose, then that means that they wouldn't have to deal with her, and that she'd rather keep her 3 dumb allies than have a smart one who's causing drama." In the challenge, Chris is first pairing people up, for one person has to hold a rope while the other climbs up a cliff. The first pair that Chris puts together is Lightning and Sky, with Lightning holding the rope and Sky climbing, versus Justin and Zoe. Justin holding the rope, Zoe climbing. While climbing, Sky would constantly be repeating to Lightning, "Remember, don't drop me." Lightning would then say, I know, you don't have to keep telling me." As he says that, he completely drops the rope and Sky falls to the ground. Zoe would then quickly get to the top. Next part of the challenge is the blowfish separating thing. People paired up for this challenge are Topher and Elodie. Topher being the cooker, while Elodie eats it, and then Caleb and Emma. Emma cooking, Caleb eating, giving the Screaming Gophers another point. The next challenge is the trapeze, where Harold is calling out for when Sean has to jump. Sadie is calling out for when Dawn has to jump, in which, in normal circumstances, Harold would be fine. But now he's kind of being whispered from Sierra every time he does something that might cost his chances. But because he can't talk to Sierra while on the trapeze, it's making him panic more, to where he accidentally calls out the wrong direction. On the other hand, Dawn, because of her aura reading, is able to tell when it's the right time, giving the Killer Bass their first point. The next point is the apples throwing. Sierra has to get an apple thrown off her head by Justin, while Topher gets an apple thrown off his head by Lightning. Or he gets an apple thrown at his head because there's arrows on it. It's complicated. There's arrows on their heads, they have to blindly throw apples. Well, normally it's with slingshots, so that's what Justin's trying. But Lightning throws away the slingshot, saying that he doesn't need a slingshot, all he needs is his arm. He would then pull back and throw the apple as hard as he can, hitting Topher square in the face, knocking him unconscious. But as he does this, the arrow does fall off his head, so Chris counts it and gives the killer bass another point, with the Screaming Gophers being very annoyed. Final part of the challenge is the toboggan race. On the Screaming Gophers, it is Caleb doing it with Sean shouting the directions. Killer Bass, it is Dawn doing it with Elodie doing the directions, in which the Killer Bass end up winning. Which means the Screaming Gophers have to go to elimination. Caleb and Zoe are talking when Justin and Emma approach. Zoe asks what they're doing there, and Justin says that he was able to get Emma in on this alliance. And Emma says that it's just temporary, just until they don't need it anymore. Justin says, sure. But they have to discuss who out of the three of them they're going to vote out. Zoe says that Harold isn't super athletic or anything, and might not be good to have around. He has messed up already. Caleb says that's true, but Sean's kind of socially awkward. He doesn't really talk to anyone. And at the elimination, they ultimately decide to eliminate Sierra. In confessional, Justin says that he notices every time they're doing a challenge, Sierra's talking to Harold, and it would be dumb to keep her around, because if they voted out Harold, she'd just move on to Sean. And if they got rid of Sean, well, that just gives Harold and Sierra more power. Basic training, everyone is holding up a canoe, until eventually Sadie drops out. It is then time for essay writing, where during it, Lightning and Sky, also Justin, Caleb, all fall asleep because of how late it is. They then have to do the obstacle course, where Dawn and Harold both end up dropping out. Once Topher gets to the end, he patronizes Chef, saying that, wow, Chef, I knew you were in charge. I know you're used to Chris doing all this, but honestly, even I could have come up with a better challenge. Chef then sends him to the boathouse. After that, Elodie would go to the boathouse and tell Topher to stop being so dumb. Topher would ask what she means, and she would say, you're antagonizing the hosts. And he's like, yeah, the whole reason I'm on the show is to become the new host, and Elodie says that has to be the dumbest reason she's ever heard. Topher is confused, and she says that this is a show for $1 million. If you won this, you could make your own show. And Topher says, never really thought about it like that. Elodie asks why he's so obsessed with this position anyway. Topher says, he lives with his grandma, so he normally stays in the house helping her. It's not so easy to get attention and fame while you're doing that, so he figured if he could host this show, he could not only get a bunch of admiration on TV, but if he became the host, he'd have enough money to take care of his grandmother without him having to constantly be there. Elodie says that she's surprised he has such a nice reason. Topher says, yeah, don't tell anyone about it. Like, the ratings don't like it when people get all sappy. Elodie says, whatever. At the challenge, teams have to hang upside down. Emma's the first dropout, then Topher, then Zoe, and finally, Elodie drops out due to blood rushing to her head. Killer Bass go to elimination, where they're not sure who to vote out. But in the end, they decide in a shock, Sadie is eliminated. Elodie says that, while she did need Sadie, she knows that Dawn and Sky are too useful to the team to eliminate right now. And that unless she wants to be at risk by her alliance, she needs to vote some of them out. And that it probably would have been Topher, but I don't know. I guess he just seems different now. Extreme torture. So, the first part of the challenge is jumping out of a plane and landing on a mattress. People competing in this first part are Topher and Caleb, in which Topher says, "I'm not sure about this. It might get my hair messed up." Caleb would then say that it's fine, pat him on the back, accidentally pushing out of the plane, causing him to fall headfirst into the sand. Caleb would then jump, pulling the parachute, and landing safely on the mattress that his team put there. Next part is the bull run, where one person from each team has to try and stay on a bull for as long as possible. In that, Zoe and Lightning both volunteer. And in the end, Lightning is actually able to stay on the bull for longer. His brute strength and just his brute strength, his brains had nothing to do with it, were just enough to handle the bull. So that brings it to the last part of the challenge, the skiing. One person has to drive, the other has to ski. On the Screaming Gophers, Justin drives, Harold skis. On the Killer Bass, Elodie drives, Sky skis. And in the end, it's close, but Elodie is able to think of a way to where she will position the... Elodie positions... Elodie positions the jet ski in a way that would send Harold flying while still sending the jet ski across the finish line. It's very subtle, but she uses math to figure out a way that would make it look like Harold just fell off, rather than her sabotaging him, which would have been against the rules. And in the end, the Killer Bass win the challenge. The Scheming Gophers have to go to elimination, in which Harold is eliminated. The cast can now celebrate, though, as they have made it to merge. For this first challenge, they are separated into guys and girls. The Brunch of Disgustingness, honestly, I think the guys have it. It's close, but I think they have it. But while these guys are trying to meet each other, Caleb talking to Topher and Lightning for the first time, asking how they've been. Lightning says that he's great. He led his team all the way to victory. Yeah. Justin says, "Is that right? You led your team?" He says, "Yeah, I did." Topher then saying, "Not really." Lightning would then jump on Topher for attacking him. On the girls' side, Sky would introduce herself to the other girls, and while Zoe would be nice and greet her back, Emma would say that there's not really need for introduction. She's not going to last long enough anyway. Sky is offended by this, and Emma realizes what she says, apologizes, saying, "Sorry, I'm not normally like that. I guess I'm just feeling a bit confident." Zoe in confessional would then say that Emma's been acting a bit different since she's been talking to Justin. I mean, she was always a bit snarky and sarcastic, but now she's just kind of being mean. But yeah, the challenge would happen and the guys would win. Meaning merge would happen. Yay. But then Chris announces, hold on there, campers. It's not over yet. Two old competitors are returning to the game. He says that the first person returning, due to popular demand, is Jose. Everyone would be shocked, and Elodie would have a confessional saying that's really bad. She really didn't want Jose back. Chris would then say the second person returning to the game is Sierra. Justin would say, that's fine. They took care of Sierra once, they can take care of her again. In the challenge, which is just pain endurance, it's obviously going to be Lightning winning. But what happens after the challenge is much more important. So first of all, Justin has his alliance with Caleb, Emma, and Zoe. Elodie has Lightning and Topher, which leaves these 5 astray. In which Jose would go around telling them about the best option. And at the end, Elodie is eliminated. Elodie's shocked, but honestly not that shocked. Jose's returning to the game was a variable that she really hadn't considered. While walking down the dock, Topher would stop her and say, thanks. Elodie would say that he does not need to thank her for anything. Seems that all she did was put him in the minority of the votes. And Topher would say, no, no, no. I wasn't really trying to put my all into this game, but after our talk, I'm gonna win this. I would say it's very unlikely, but she'll root for him as she leaves. Search, do not destroy. This challenge, everyone has keys. They have to, open chests, get immunity. While this challenge is happening, Sierra would go to Topher, Lightning, and Sean and say, hey boys, seems like you're a little outnumbered here. Topher would say, yeah, and Sierra would say, well, it's just, what if we work together? Lightning would say that he doesn't need a team, okay? Lightning can handle everything on his own. He would say that before walking away. Topher, on the other hand, would be more intrigued. He'd ask why she's approaching him. Sierra says that she was working with Harold, but he's gone now. She's seen a lot of shows, and she also knows how Chris works. Topher asks her to prove it, and she says her card was Chef's Kitchen. I know that this is where the chest with the key, the chest with the immunity, I know where that key is going to be. Topher says that he doesn't believe her. Sierra says that they can make a deal. She'll give him the chest, her card, and if it has the immunity ticket in it, they have to work together. Topher thinks about it, agrees, they swap tickets, and shake hands. Sierra then turns to Sean and asks what she thinks, and Sean says that he's not too sure. I guess I'll have to. Also, during the challenge, Caleb and Zoe are working together. Eventually, Justin walks in on them kissing for the first time. Justin would then have a confessional saying that you can't have Caleb and Zoe being together. That messes up all his plans. Because they'd obviously vote out each other instead of... Or they'd obviously vote out him rather than each other. He needs to find a way to break them up. At elimination, Topher indeed was the one who got immunity, thanks to getting a key from Chef's Kitchen. Meaning he agrees to work with Sierra and Sean at this elimination. And honestly, they're not sure where the votes are going. Till someone approaches them. And in the end, Zoe is eliminated. Caleb is heartbroken and asks how this could have happened, and Justin says that he doesn't know. It's then revealed that Justin went to Topher, Sierra, and Sean, where him and Emma joined them, along with very easily being able to convince Lightning to also work with them, to turn it into a 6-5 vote, where the other person in the bottom two was most likely Sierra. Hide and be sneaky. Everyone has to hide from Chef. The challenge starts with Lightning almost instantly being caught by Chef. And as the challenge is happening, people are being caught one by one. And during the challenge, Jose grabs Dawn, Sky, Emma, and Sierra, and says that the men are picking off all the women. And Sierra says that, wasn't there more girls than guys when we started? And Jose says, yeah, and look, now it's even. We can't let this continue. Emma asks what she's proposing, and Jose says that they need to make a women's alliance so that they can beat all the men. Sky says, okay, then who do you propose we eliminate? Jose says, I'm not sure yet. Either Sean, Justin, Lightning, or Caleb. Dawn asks why not Topher, and she says, Topher's not really a threat right now. We don't have to worry about him. He's more worried about his makeup and hairdo than actually staying in the game. She was on a team with him, she knows. During the challenge, people are methodically caught one by one, like Topher, Justin, Caleb, Sierra, Dawn, Emma. Justin actually finds Sky, while Lightning finds Jose. And Sean is the last person left, as he hid on top of a tree, being Sean, Justin, and Lightning are immune. The girls all agree that they should vote for Caleb. Sarah then goes to her alliance of Sean and Topher and asks them what they think. And honestly, about voting for Caleb. Sierra doesn't tell them about the girls' alliance, but she does ask them what they think about voting for Caleb. On the other hand, Emma goes to Justin and Caleb. At the elimination, Jose is eliminated. Jose is furious and outraged by this. It is then shown that Emma went to Justin and Caleb, told them about the girls' alliance that was trying to be formed, then go to Topher and Sean and tell them about this. And essentially, Emma spilled the beans to all the girls to all the guys about the girls' alliance. So, in a 6-4 vote, Jose was eliminated. At the beginning of this challenge, Sierra is trying to explain herself to Topher and Sean, but they're not hearing it. She specifically didn't tell them about the Girls' Alliance. And what? Were they going to get rid of them next? And Sierra says that she would never, of course not. And they just roll their eyes and walk off. In this challenge, everyone has to build bikes, ride them across the finish line. The people competing in the second part of this challenge, I'm just going to move all the people not competing in the second half of this challenge to here. People not competing in the second half of this challenge are Caleb, Topher, Sean, Sky, Justin. Meaning that the final race is between Sierra, Emma, Lightning, and Dawn. Meaning one of them will be eliminated. They are biking to the finish line. Lightning wipes out, saving him, surprisingly. So it's down to these three. Sierra crosses the finish line and hopes that someone else finishes as well. Dawn finishes next, and before she's going to finish, Emma slips on the oil, wipes out, meaning that technically Dawn is the last person to cross the finish line and has been eliminated. Hook, Line, and Screamer. It's the horror movie challenge. Everyone thinks there's a killer on the loose. Lightning decides to go off on his own, because no killer's going to get the chance to sneak up on all Lightning. Lightning is then the first one caught. He's not eliminated, I'm just moving them here. Emma then decides that she wants to go out and talk with Justin. They go into the woods and Emma asks, "Who do you value more in your alliance, me or Caleb?" Justin says, it's obviously you. Emma says, "Okay, then why didn't you tell me that Caleb was in the alliance? Why didn't you tell Caleb that I was joining?" Justin said that he just needed to keep his bases. If you said no, then how would that have looked? Emma's not sure about it, but suddenly the killer comes out behind them as they're both caught. Sierra then says that if this is Chris's doing, he's gonna want to follow all the horror movie tropes. So don't go off on your own, don't go into the woods, don't make out in the woods, and all that. Topher says that he's not going to listen to this as he goes into the woods. Sean also follows him. Topher says that, "Wow, look, we're breaking all of Sierra's rules, and we're not getting killed. Crazy." Sean says, "Yeah, well, I mean, all of them." And Topher says, "Yeah, no, of course not, dude. We're like, no offense, dude, but you're not really my type." Topher says, jokingly. And Sean says, "Yeah," but suddenly the killer catches them both, leaving only Sierra, Sky, Caleb left. Sierra says that the others are probably already dead. Caleb says that's a horrible thing to say. Sierra says, "Well, it's true." And Caleb says that he can't do this. He's so stressed, he needs to get something to eat. He heads to the kitchen. Sierra says that she's gonna go look for him as she follows. Sky is then left alone. Suddenly, the killer shows up, tries to attack her, but she fights back, eventually defeats the killer. In the kitchen, though, Caleb is panicking and decides he needs to stress eat. He then sees a shadow in the kitchen, a looming presence. Lightning cracks as he runs out of the kitchen screaming. Sierra then walks in, revealing to be her shadow, and tells him stop, with Caleb running all the way to the out line. Sky wins the challenge, but due to having the lamest death, Caleb is eliminated. Justin is very disappointed by this. Oh, and Aqua gone wild. Sky says that she doesn't know what she's gonna do. She needs to find people to work with, but she doesn't know who. Topher then walks up to her with Sean, says, "Hey, word on the street is you don't exactly have allies right now." Sky says, "Yeah, what, you gonna rub it in?" Topher's like, no. Well, maybe only a little bit, but no. Sky says, whatever. What do you want anyway? Sean then says that they just want to work together. Sky asks why. They say that they don't have anyone else either. And Lightning's not really non-starter, and they tell her that, trust me, she doesn't want to work with Sierra. And Sky says that she'll have to think about it, but she doesn't know. Challenge happens. Lightning gets a bear. Topher gets a deer. Sean gets a frog. Sky gets a raccoon. Sierra gets duck. Justin gets something else. Emma gets something else. Honestly, I'm not sure, but in the end, Sierra ends up catching her animal, enjoying a gourmet feast. But that doesn't really matter, though. This challenge was a non-elimination. And at the elimination, it's very interesting, because Sierra approaches Emma and Justin. They ask her what she wants, and she says that Sean and Topher are gonna gun for her. If they're willing to, would they want to vote for Sean? He's the bigger threat of the two of them. They agree, and at the elimination, Sierra is eliminated, as Topher and Sean were able to convince Sky and Lightning to vote with them. Now it's time for the tri-armed triathlon. So, the people paired up for this challenge are Emma and Lightning, Topher and Justin, and Sean and Sky. The first part, the eating portion of this challenge, is when Sean eats, Topher eats, Lightning eats, as Topher doesn't want to, but Justin says he can't eat that carbs. I mean, if he gains any pounds, then his modeling agency would cancel his contract instantly. Then I'll eat. In the end, Sean, surprisingly, is able to eat the most, giving Sky on Sean a point. Next part is to row to Boney Island and throw in a tiki statue. No one got the tiki statue in this timeline, but they can just still throw one, because it's the challenge. And while rowing, Sky asks Sean what's up with the zombies. Sean says, he's always been scared of them. Guess he doesn't really have a reason, but meh. Sky says, but does he actually believe there's going to be an apocalypse? And Sean says, of course. That's the whole reason I'm trying to win this thing. I mean, I need to prepare myself for the apocalypse. Sky says, wow, that's really weird. On the other hand, though, when they get to the island, they're told that one person has to carry another. Lightning instantly picks up Emma and starts charging to the cave. Sean then picks up Sky and starts going, while Topher and Justin start having an argument about who's going to carry who. But when Lightning and Emma get to the cave, along with Sean and Sky not far behind, they're chased away by giant beavers. And in the end, Topher carrying Justin, because Topher was a bit more lenient than Justin was, get there. The beavers are no longer there, so they're able to easily throw in their tiki part. Third part of the challenge is the stacking. Lightning says that why should he remember which losers got eliminated when? I mean, he's better than them. Emma says, yeah, sure. Name one person you're better than. Lightning says, I'll do you one better. I'm better than Jen, Katie, Jerry, Stacy, Kelly. Emma then thinks back and realizes that Lightning is going through the entire elimination order by mistake and starts stacking. On the other hand, Justin is admiring some of the sculptures and says that, do you think they could get one of me? I think it would look really cool. I think people would buy that merchandise. And Topher tells him to just shut up. No, can you not think about your looks for 2 seconds? Topher then has a confessional and thinks, wow, is that how I sounded to everybody? Jeez. By the end of the challenge, Lightning and Emma get the final point, meaning everyone is up for elimination. The votes happen. It's very odd to see what might happen, because Emma and Justin are working together. Topher, Sean are working together. With Sky, Lightning is kind of freelance. He's a lone wolf. In the end, Sky goes to Emma and Justin and says that she knows she's making a mistake, but there's someone here that really doesn't deserve to be here. In the end, Sean is eliminated. Topher is appalled, saying, are you serious, Sky? We just brought you in, and suddenly you're going against us? Great. Guess you can't trust anyone. Camp Hampshire. We get to see a bit of what all the eliminated contestants are doing. We see Caleb and Zoe together, very happy, saying that it sucks that they got out, but at least they can be together. Caleb just saying that he kind of wishes he was still in so he could beat up Justin for getting out Zoe, and Zoe says that, come on Caleb, you know you're not a violent person. Caleb says, yeah, you're right, I was just playing it up for the camera. They go around asking some people who they want to win. Harold says that he actually wants Emma to win. She's the smartest person in the game. I mean, it only makes sense for her to get to the end. While Elodie says that from a logical standpoint, Justin seems to be in the best position to win, but I suppose I would not be unhappy if Topher won. The people around her then start egging her on, Katie and Sadie specifically, telling her how she's totally rooting for him, and she tries to deny it. But then everyone has to vote on who they want to be eliminated. And there are some votes here and there, like Jose votes for Topher, Elodie votes for Lightning because he's just a brickhead who's gotten lucky this far. But that's not the most votes. The most votes starts with Katie and Sadie talking about how they really wish that they could see Sky again. Katie agrees that, yeah, Sky was great. People then start going back and forth talking about how you shouldn't be saying Sky's name if you want her to still be in. In the end, Sky's eliminated by accident. Camp Castaways. So, this challenge, everyone is separated at first on the island. They don't know where they are, and they kind of have to just work together for a bit. Topher finds Lightning and says that they need to stick together, and Lightning says, no way, he's gone this far on his own, he'll keep going on his own. Topher tells him that Emma and Justin are working together. If they don't trust each other, then they're just gonna win. Topher and Lightning says, no way, no one beats Lightning. Topher says, they will. While with Emma and Justin, they're looking for people and food, and Emma is talking to Justin about, so what's his plans to get us to the end? And Justin says, well, we can easily beat Topher, and so just vote some game with Lightning, but either way, I'm sure I'll be fine. Emma is confused by this, and is like, what do you mean you'll be fine? It's like, we'll be fine. Jeez, you don't have to hate on grammar. Emma then has confessional saying that, honestly, since the start of this game, she's kind of been working with Justin. I mean, he was someone she could vent to about her problems, but that all started with him annoying her until she did. Then when they started working together, she's kind of been strung along by him just... I don't know. She feels conflicted at this point. Challenge ends with not much gained. Topher wasn't able to convince Lightning to do anything really, and this episode was a non-elimination. Are we there yet? Everyone is put into pairs. It is Topher and Emma versus Lightning and Justin. Splits up the alliance. Ooh, spooky. So, while Topher and Emma are going out, they have a map. Topher and Lightning have a compass. Emma asks Topher what he thinks of Justin. Topher says that Justin is the worst person he's met. Emma says, that can't be right? And Topher says, yeah. He only cares about himself and his looks. I mean, the only reason we won a point in the triathlon was luck, because he was too lazy to do anything. He says, no, Justin tries hard. Topher asks, has he actually won anything? She says that he got immunity in hide and seek, and Topher just says, yeah, because he found someone, not because he actually did anything. On the other hand, Justin's talking to Lightning, saying, hey, when we win this, you're cool with Topher being on, right? And says, no way, I'm getting rid of that nerd. Justin says, Emma? Yeah, and Lightning says, yeah. Justin then says, well, once Emma is gone, then would you be fine with getting rid of Topher? And Lightning says, yeah, sure, whatever. As long as I'm sitting at the top, I'm happy. And Justin shakes his hand saying that he can make that happen. They run through the forest, with Emma and Topher eventually catching up with Lightning and Justin during the night, them saying that they should probably camp. Justin then goes to Emma and says, hey, seems like Lightning's wanting you gone, so sorry. Emma's like, what do you mean sorry? Justin says, well, I really did want to work with you, but Lightning's only going to listen to reason if he can be in the finale, and honestly, I think I can handle him there. Emma is shocked and says, so what, you're just going to throw me away like that? After everything? Justin says, it's just a game. Well, it's not like I'm your boyfriend breaking up with you. Emma is insulted and just yells and storms off, and saying in confessional that she can't believe he used that against her. She actually thought that they might have been friends. It turns out she was right from the start. No alliances was the way to go. Maybe Lightning, of all people, is on to something. Everyone wakes up in the morning, and Lightning goes, alright, Justin, we got this. We just gotta sprint to the finish. Where's the map? Where's the compass? Justin's like, it's right here. He then pats his pockets, sees there's nothing there. It would then show that Emma stole the compass during the night, as Topher and Emma run back to camp, getting first place. The voting is only between Lightning and Justin, with it being Chef's choice. Then in the end, after everything he saw, Justin is eliminated. He asks Emma what the hell, and Emma says that, sorry, it's just a game, it's not like I'm your girlfriend or anything. Justin then just laughs and says, man, you're fun. We should hang out after this. Emma then scoffs and rolls her eyes. I triple dog dare you. We have Lightning, the lone wolf. Emma, the person who was basically dragged here until she finally made a name for herself. And Topher, who was originally probably the most useless member of his team, turned big social threat. Dare start, and Lightning and Emma are talking between each other, talking about how they're probably going to the finale together. I mean, Topher's too obsessed with his looks to do anything. They then roll a few times, spin the thing a few times. Eventually, Emma lands on Jen's dare, which is to shave your head. Emma then passes this dare to Topher, who at this point has no freebies. Topher is worried, but accepts the dare. He then gets his head shaven. Emma is surprised and honestly really shocked that Topher actually went through with it. You then see Topher in the confessional crying, saying, why did I have to try and win? Lightning's up next, who at this point has used no freebies and has accepted every single dare taken to him. His pride won't allow him to cheat out of a dare, and his pride also not allow him to give away a dare. He spins, gets a dare from Jose, saying that they have to lose an arm wrestling match against Harold. Harold is then brought in, and Lightning can't do it. He can't lose to a nerd like Harold. He refuses the dare. He doesn't use a freebie because that's cheating in his mind. Lightning's eliminated. Meaning we have our final two. Topher versus Emma. We get to the finale, and it's Emma versus Topher, and here's who's rooting for everyone. They each look at their sides, and Emma sees that Justin's on her side. He then blows her a kiss, and Emma just shakes her head and looks away as Justin laughs. Chris then says that their final challenge is an obstacle course. They have to go through an obstacle course. So, first of all, Emma gets a huge lead to start with. She's mainly been using her brains in this game, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have physical prowess. She's incredibly athletic. Topher's behind. That's when Elodie comes up beside him and is like, "What are you doing?" Topher's like, I can't win. You're right, this is impossible." Ellie says, "Are you kidding me? I didn't think you were gonna make it past a day since I was gone, and you got to the final two. Alright, I know I'm smart, and I'm never gonna say this again, but maybe sometimes I'm wrong. Topher's like, do you actually think I have a chance now? He's like, I guess. Maybe. Topher says that's good enough for him, and he starts catching up. Emma then looks behind her, not really knowing what to do. Justin then catches up and is like, I can offer you some advice. Emma says that she doesn't need any advice from him. He says, alright, I mean, it's your loss. She's like, fine, what? He says that in the next section they have to go across balance beams. So, maybe if some Topher was to accidentally trip and fall, it would be a bit easier for you to win. Elodie says that she's not gonna trip him, and Justin says, yeah, no, of course not. But, I mean, if you really want to win this, I'd listen to the pretty guy. Emma says, please, I'm not listening to you. Justin says, ah, so you admit I'm a pretty guy. And Emma tells him to shut up. They continue. Emma doesn't end up tripping Topher on the balance beam, but she does heavily consider it. They then start running to the finish line. It's just an all-out sprint at this point. Topher's catching up before Emma trips him using her leg. Everyone's shocked and appalled by this, while Justin just sits there nodding. Emma feels bad, but she has to keep going. She starts running, but Topher quickly gets up and runs after her. It's a close race, but in the end, one of them wins. There can be alternate winners here. Either Topher's able to beat Emma, or Emma's mischievous move is the thing that ultimately got her the win. Whatever you want, that's up to you to decide. But honestly, going into this, looking at this cast, I didn't think I was going to be able to make a good story. But I did. And I hope you guys liked this. Yeah, bye.